2020. Yeah, this is going to be a year that we all mark our lives by. A life-marking year. Because we're probably going to remember what we were doing, where we were going, and there's going to be a time before 2020 and our life after 2020. But today we're talking about use of debt, foreclosure, and the future bankruptcy of many people struck by this pandemic and the economic turmoil that it's created. In the short run, you should certainly do what you have to do to survive. So if that means using your credit cards to pay bills and make ends meet, then that's what you're going to do. If that means taking advantage of payment forbearances for foreclosures and student loans, yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. However, the relief is not going to last forever. And at some point, it's going to be time to pay the piper. And at that point, at that time, we need to start thinking about what you're going to do when that time comes. Because the foreclosure forbearances are eventually going to stop. The foreclosure moratoriums are going to stop. As of right now, most states don't have a debt collection moratorium. But so far, creditors have been mixed in what they're willing to do for you to help you. But when the time comes, if you haven't been paying that $1,500 a month mortgage for 6 months, 9 months, that's going to come due. And what are you going to do when that $6,000 bill comes, or that $9,000 bill comes, or that $12,000 bill comes, and the mortgage lender's saying, hey, you need to pay us or we're going to foreclose? So, the question is, come the end of 2020 or 2021, what are you going to do when it comes time to pay? And I just want to put your mind at ease that there are options for you when the time comes. Bankruptcy is the most likely option. So if you've been having to rely on your credit cards to make ends meet, you haven't been paying your mortgage or your car loans, and when those bills come due, and when they start asking for money again, bankruptcy will be waiting here for you to get you out of debt. Especially when it comes to the credit cards, that's pretty easy. I mean, if you start racking up credit card debt, then at some point, instead of wasting more money paying it down, trying to dig yourself out of that and making 2021 another bad financial year, certainly you should consider filing bankruptcy and unload that debt. No one's going to question why you got into debt. In fact, when it comes to bankruptcy, really why you're in debt doesn't matter, isn't a factor. Now, of course, you have to act in good faith. I mean, you can't spend frivolously, buying gold coins or taking vacations and things like that. But if you've been buying necessary groceries, gas, that kind of thing, and living off your credit cards, bankruptcy is not going to question that. When it comes to foreclosure, that's a little more tricky. Because ultimately, in any sort of scenario with resolving any sort of default on a mortgage payment where you have to catch up, you have to catch up. And your options are really going to be either the mortgage company is going to work with you with a loan modification, or they're not. And for a lot of people, I think the answer is that the mortgage companies are not going to do that. So that leaves Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 13 bankruptcy will allow you to force the mortgage servicer into essentially modifying the loan or taking the missed payments and forcing them into a payment plan that you can afford, but you still have to be able to pay the regular mortgage if you want to keep your house. So, in light of the pandemic and the economic turmoil that's created, many people are going to have to come to grips with the fact that they're going to need to file bankruptcy and need to start thinking about that now and taking steps to make sure they can do that. There's no real special thing you have to do, but just be prepared for it. Put a little money aside. In one of my other videos, I talk about how much Chapter 7 bankruptcies cost, and you should be honestly budgeting about $2,000 for a bankruptcy. And that'll cover the filing fee and the attorney's fees. And then you'll be able to come through this pandemic. Hopefully you'll be able to get a job if you're not employed now, or get rehired by the company you work for, or whatever is your situation. You don't want to be held back by the accumulated debt that you needed to incur in order to get by. And bankruptcy can bail you out of that debt. My name is Matt Berkus. I'm a Colorado bankruptcy and debt relief attorney. I've been doing this for 18 years. I got people through the housing crisis. I get them out of foreclosure, get them out of garnishment, and help people get back on track with their financial lives. Best of luck to you, and stay safe.